Meantime, President Trump says land operations in Venezuela could start fairly soon. This comes following this week's seizure of an oil tanker linked to Venezuelan crude oil. Also tonight, we hear from the man who orchestrated the escape for Venezuela's Nobel Peace Prize recipient. Here is Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
The USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier strike group moved further south into the Caribbean basin, raising questions about whether the U.S. is moving closer toward military action in Venezuela. The ranking member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Senator Mark Warner, was asked at the Defense Writers Group if the U.S. is going to war with Venezuela. Senator Warner, a member of the Gang of Eight, said, "I don't know." Meantime, EA-18 Growlers, electronic warfare jets, have been deployed to Puerto Rico. They can jam enemy radar and help take out surface-to-air missile sites. Air Force HH-60 search and rescue helicopters have deployed to the Caribbean from Japan, along with 12 Navy warships.
Is the campaign against Venezuela still just about drugs, or is it now also about oil?
It has to do with a lot of things. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
Today, more details about the dramatic evacuation of the leading Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, who has been in hiding in Venezuela and is seen here on the balcony of her hotel in Oslo, where she received the Nobel Peace Prize. Brian Stern, whose Gray Bull Rescue Foundation carried out the dangerous extraction, spoke to Fox News.
So boat one pulls up next to boat two. I reach in to boat one and I pull Maria out and I put her on boat one. And I say, "Hi, Maria, my name is Brian Stern. Nice to meet you." And she says, "Hi, my name is Maria. Good to meet you."
Nearly lost at sea for 3 hours in 10-foot waves after her GPS fell overboard and communications went silent. Maria Machado's extraction is the stuff of movies. It was carried out by a group of former military veterans without the direct knowledge of the U.S. government. If the mission had failed, many fear it could have jeopardized a larger plan by the U.S. government to replace Nicolás Maduro.
Incredible story.
Incredible.
Incredible firsthand account, too. Jen, thank you.
The Venezuelan opposition leader who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize has appeared in public for the first time in 11 months. Maria Corina Machado emerged on a hotel balcony in Norway's capital just hours after her daughter accepted the award. Senior Foreign Affairs correspondent Greg Palcott shows us tonight.
Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado in Oslo, Norway, early this morning. Her first public appearance after nearly a year in hiding. Her daughter filled in as she just missed accepting the Nobel Peace Prize for mounting the most serious challenge to the authoritarian regime of disputed President Nicolás Maduro. After a daring 3-day escape from her homeland where Maduro has threatened her arrest, according to the Wall Street Journal, with help from the U.S., sneaking through military checkpoints, riding a small boat to a nearby island, U.S. fighter jets circling overhead, an extraction specialist meeting her there, and then, via Bangor, Maine, on to Oslo, aboard a private plane.
I believe that the risk, even though it was very high, it was worthwhile.
This as the Trump administration ratchets up pressure on a regime widely seen as misusing its energy resources, facilitating drug trafficking, oppressing its people, credit given by the Nobel laureate.
I believe that President Trump's actions have been decisive to reach the point where we are right now, in which the regime is weaker than ever.
After early wins, Machado was barred from running against Maduro in elections last year. Still, she led a challenge that by all accounts defeated the dictator, who nixed results in a brutal crackdown. He now sings a defiant tune to Machado and American allies.
To American citizens who are against the war, I respond with a very famous song. Don't worry, be happy.
Banned from returning to Venezuela, some Machado supporters are concerned she could be sidelined. Others say the Venezuelan saga will only pick up pace.
I think it's an important shift in what has been really a static situation on the ground for too long in Venezuela.
Machado says she'll rest for a few days and then resume her fight for change, including a visit to Washington. She'll be welcomed. Brett.
Greg, thank you.
Venezuela condemning the U.S. after American forces seized an oil tanker Wednesday, saying the country, quote, vigorously denounces what constitutes a blatant robbery and an act of international piracy. Meanwhile, the White House has not ruled out taking more oil tankers.
Was this a one-off, or is it safe to say the administration is taking a more active look at the oil industry in Venezuela, whether targeting other oil ships or perhaps Venezuelan oil production facilities in Venezuela?
Well, I won't broadcast any future actions from the administration, but I will just reiterate that the Trump administration is executing on the president's sanction policies and the sanction policies of the United States. And we're not going to stand by and watch sanctioned vessels sail the seas with black market oil, the proceeds of which will fuel narco-terrorism of rogue and illegitimate regimes around the world.
All right, so Fox News senior strategic analyst Jack Keane joins us now. General, welcome back. Your thoughts about this next move, tightening the screws on Maduro. That oil cost him $80 million. It's now in our possession. Is that a good strategy? Stop the oil from leaving and coming?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously what we got to do is continue this. There certainly is a legal basis for this, as pointed out just prior to the interview. And the reason is this is a sanctioned ship, the skipper, and it's been involved in black market distribution of oil out of Iran and now out of Venezuela. So we have a basis to get it, and I think we should continue to do this and squeeze the regime. I mean, this is fundamentally about changing the regime out. The president's been very clear. He would like not to have to use physical force to do it, like two other presidents have done. 1989, Noriega in Panama also was involved in a fraudulent election and narco trafficking, and also a military dictator in Haiti in '94 by Clinton to put back in power a Democratic elected president, Aristide. We're in a very similar situation here, admittedly years later, but the circumstances remain really quite similar. And I think the intent is worthy here. Squeeze them financially and put the powers around him then will likely put more pressure on Maduro to leave, take the exile ticket and free pass that the president's given you, because they're going to conclude that it's not worth keeping him here.
General, let's roll in while we speak all the things that President Trump's team has done to put pressure on Maduro. I mean, the sanctions, the 22 attacks, the taking of this tanker, and now they sanctioned two of his nephews who are looked at as drug traffickers as well. So the thing is, if this guy stays in power, he not only wins, he looks stronger. He stared down America and survived. So this has got to end soon. Now there's congressional pressure coming at the president. He says land strikes could be next. What would be the targets?
Well, they have plenty of options. I mean, obviously they can focus on the narco trafficking targets themselves, you know, where it's manufactured, the storage sites for it, the distribution for it, or they can target on government sites as well. So they have a number of options here to obviously to deal with. And I think the pressure is going to increase here. The fact that the president is taking these other steps indicates he's trying to avoid the use of force. I think that's pretty clear. And yet he still wants the objective for Maduro to get out of there.
Absolutely,
so
General.
The objective is clearly regime change.
No question. Let's go over to Ukraine. We understand, according to ABC reports, that the Ukrainians have handed off a revised 20-point peace plan, and it does include giving up some land, of course, that Russia stole. Your thoughts about where this is heading?
Well, I think there's getting to be some agreement here. I don't believe they're giving up land to Russia, but I do think there's an agreement on how that land will be neutralized and become a DMZ, the disputed land in the Donetsk region. And the United States team, I know for a fact, is supporting Ukraine's position on what's acceptable to them. And I think that's the right path to take here. What we don't want to do here is, through negotiations, leave the Ukraine in a more vulnerable position for a Russian attack. And the second part that they're working on very hard is the security guarantees. And so our audience understand these guarantees have got to be firm and comprehensive to deter Russia from an attack. Listen, Russia has not changed their desires here. They want to pocket whatever concessions the United States and Ukraine are willing to make, and then at some point that's convenient for them, it is guaranteed they will try to reattack and take the country. That is their objective, and then expand into Eastern Europe. We can never lose sight of where Russia really is on this. So we have to put these security guarantees in place to credibly deter them. What are they? They have to have an air component to it. They have to have a land component with forces on the ground. They have to have a maritime component in the Black Sea, likely commanded and controlled by the United States. The Europeans can't do that. Rebuild the Ukrainian military and help them in their defense industrial base to be able to stand on their own. Put all of that together. That's a comprehensive package, and that will have some deterrence to it.
And Ukraine came to the table. I don't see Russia at all, but we'll see if that changes this weekend. General Jack Keane, thanks so much for all the work you do and all the cutting-edge information you relay. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend.
Venezuela, now that we've seized this tanker, is the campaign against Venezuela still just about drugs, or is it now also about oil?
Well, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is the fact that they've allowed millions of people to come into our country from their prisons, from gangs, from drug dealers. Drug traffic by sea is down 92%. And nobody can figure out who the 8% is, because I have no idea. Anybody getting involved in that right now is not doing well. And we'll start that on land, too.
All right, that from yesterday at the White House now. Big story of Venezuela. Here's the recent U.S. actions there. Go back 10 months ago in February. U.S. designates TDA as a foreign terrorist organization. Then in July, the Treasury sanctions another cartel group as global terrorists. Let's come back to this in a moment. From August now, U.S. deploys major military naval assets near Venezuela. And then early September, you got the U.S. strikes on 22 smuggling boats, killing 86 people so far to date. November last month, the USS Gerald Ford, the largest in the carrier strike group, deployed off the coast of Venezuela. 3 weeks ago, the U.S. formally designates this cartel as a foreign terrorist organization. We've got more. End of November, Trump issues the warning about Venezuelan airspace. Still watching that. And then this week, the U.S. seizes that oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Now, we are told that tanker was bound for Iran. It was flying or sailing at sea, rather, under a Guyana flag. And it's been used many times to take illicit oil overseas. From the State Department, Tommy Pickett's with him now. And, sir, thank you for your time. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What's the end game here? Maduro out? Is that what you see?
Well, the president has been very clear with his concerns when it comes to Venezuela. And as the press secretary outlined, we're seeing two different actions here, two different things. We're seeing a campaign to stop the flood of drugs into this country that are poisoning Americans, a campaign against narco-terrorists to stop the flow of those deadly drugs. You're also seeing a judicial enforcement operation when it comes to that oil, making sure that we are implementing the president's sanction policy, the sanctions policy of the United States, that we're not going to tolerate shadow vessels that violate our sanctions. We're going to enforce our policies.
Here now is Maduro 2 days ago, made a defiant speech, most of it in Spanish, but this portion was in English. Let's watch and listen.
No more Vietnam, no more Somalia, no more Iraq, no more Afghanistan, no more Libya, no blood for oil.
How would you respond to the Venezuelan leader after that statement?
Look, I would reiterate that the president has been very clear about the actions that he is taking here. We are not going to allow narco-terrorists to flood our country with deadly drugs. We are not going to allow shadow vessels to violate our sanctions policies. We are going to enforce our sanctions policies. We're not going to allow shadow fleets to transport black market oil, the proceeds of which go to fund the terroristic activities of rogue and illegitimate regimes around the world. We're going to implement our policies. We're going to defend the American people. And that's the bottom line here. We are going to defend the American people, put our national security first, make sure we have a safe and secure country.
All right, Democrats are asking questions, including Chris Coons from Delaware. Here's his.
President Trump ran on, I will keep your costs down, I will make America healthy again, and I will avoid new stupid wars. He's failing on all three. He seems to be sleepwalking into a war with Venezuela.
That's quite the claim. Sleepwalking? What would you say from the State Department?
Once again, we have seen the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45 being overdoses, which is fueled by these illicit activities of these cartels. And you're seeing those designations, you mentioned some of them, but designations of cartels across our region. We are saying enough is enough. We are going to secure the border. We're going to stop illegal immigration, which is used by cartels to smuggle these drugs. We are going to defend the American people. We're going to stop these cartels, these narco-terrorists, from poisoning tens of thousands of Americans every single year.
Okay, that's on Venezuela. Now to Ukraine, and this has been very difficult. We know the president's frustrated, clearly, with both sides. Lately, he seems to be more frustrated with Putin. Here's Zelensky. Big meeting in Paris on Saturday with the U.S., U.K., France, and Germany. Here we go, Zelensky from yesterday.
We had conversation with the United States team about possible security guarantees for Ukraine, and we are working on a framework document, and it must be strong enough to truly work. We believe this document should be approved by the United States Congress. This would mean real, solid, legally binding security guarantees for our country.
Sir, this may be something that you can't see at the moment, but can you today make a prediction for next year in 2026 that finally, after 4 years, this war will end?
Well, I'm not going to be in the prediction business here, but what I can say is bringing this conflict to an end is this president's goal. He just wants to see a stop to the bloodshed so people can go home and live prosperous lives, advancing that cause of peace. And to do that, we need to have conversations with both sides to see what will end this conflict. And that is the endeavor that we are having here. Again, the primary goal being ending this conflict.
Well, let's hope for a breakthrough. Maybe it comes this weekend. That would be good for the new year, certainly for the world. Tommy Pigott, thank you for your time, sir. We'll talk again very soon. And if we don't, have a great holiday. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
But first things first, if you look at what the president's most focused on international relations, it is finally in our hemisphere, and it is in Venezuela. 2 days ago, the big story was the taking of the tanker containing $80 million of illicit oil that was Iranian. We've been looking at this called the Skipper, this ship, for a while, so we just fast roped onto it, took it over. And so now we're going to bring it home. And that's more pressure on Venezuela. The other thing that why it's so important for Maduro to go out of our hemisphere is because he was told to hold free and fair elections by a previous president. He held those elections. He tried to cheat, but he still lost overwhelmingly to the party of Maria Corina Machado. And he stayed in power and tightened his grip, surrounded by Cubans and Iranians and Hezbollah. We're going to allow that in our backyard for the President of the United States, led by Secretary of State National Security Advisor Marco Rubio? The answer is no. But one of the key is having something to replace Maduro with, and that is Machado's party. She got picked as the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. Would she be able to get to Norway to accept it? Yes. Why? Because of Brian Stern and Gray Bull Rescue. And guess who joins us now? Former U.S. Army and Navy counter-intel officer Brian Stern. Brian, welcome back.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Great. Could you tell me how you got involved and what you did?
It was as tough as being a ballerina at 46 and 6. I can tell you that much.
Not alike, but certainly a challenge.
We got contacted a week ago today, actually. It was last Friday around 2100, around 9 p.m., by a friend who was connected to Maria's team, and asked if we were doing stuff in Venezuela. They knew we were doing stuff in Venezuela, but asked if we would, if we'd be willing to hear out a very complicated case. We didn't know it was Maria at first. We learned that it was Maria either late Friday or early Saturday morning. I'm not sure. Figured out that it was her. That changes everything. As you know, we've been doing stuff. We do stuff all over the world. We call this Operation Golden Dynamite. That's her name for us. Because of who she is, this changes everything. We have a lot of things all over the world. This was our 800th mission that we've done. 800 missions. But this is the hardest thing we've ever done. This is the first thing we've ever done for someone who has a Wikipedia page, right? She's the second most popular person in the Western Hemisphere.
Which means if she spotted, it would be over. So you had to disguise her.
We had to do all kinds of things, all kinds of things, which we can't get into. But that was so that all started on Saturday. We started planning Saturday all day. Continued to plan Sunday. We deployed forward to the region. Went back to the region on Sunday, and set conditions for Monday. And we initiated operations on Tuesday. And here we are.
Some on land, some on sea.
There was a land piece, a maritime piece, a very large maritime piece, and also an aviation component as well. She had to fly to Norway from the Caribbean.
When, at what point during the operation did you feel like it was secure?
When I saw her in Norway.
That was it.
When I saw Maria hug her daughter, is when I took a deep breath, because at that point our we're out of the, our piece is done. We were out of the game at that point. We actually did not do the aviation piece. We were supposed to, we were about to, we were ready for it, but for lots of really good reasons, we didn't have to. They had that sorted out, so that was better for us.
Did it have anything to do with the F-16s or the fighter jets that flew over 72 hours ago?
No, it was more about Maria has people on her team that have access to cheaper planes than we do. It was really a cost. It was more of a cost thing than anything else.
So you got her. You had to get her out. You had to get her through checkpoints, and people would recognize her. So I imagine she had to be disguised.
I don't want to get into how everything went down on the land because we still have ops going on. This is still we don't want to put sources and methods at risk. But suffice it to say, it was dangerous for her, very dangerous for her, dangerous for everybody involved, frankly.
She did not complain, you said, and it was extremely cold. And you also said the waters were extremely choppy, but that helped you. How?
So we were in 5 to 10 foot seas, depending on timing, which was miserable in a small fishing boat. I will tell you, we had on one of the boats, we had a very seasoned operator who's a very former Marine, who is a very seasoned guy, and he was vomiting for 9 hours. For perspective, it was cold, it was wet. This is happening in the middle of the night in pitch black darkness with cloud cover and almost no moonlight. And Maria didn't complain once. I've never, it was inspirational. She's been a hero of mine for years. Being asked to participate in this, let alone lead this operation, is probably the greatest privilege that I'll ever have in my career, for sure. So when I met her, I was frankly starstruck. She's a hero of mine. I know I've been following her I've been on her Twitter feed for years. To meet her and then to watch her be the Iron Lady that she is, went from, I thought she was a rock star to pretty impressive.
And I'm sure that's its reassurance too, because there's no doubt about it. Maduro's got to go, and she's the one that will replace. She says she's got a 100-day plan, and I believe her. Brian, congratulations on your courage and your success. For people, if you have some money and time, go on to Gray Bull Rescue's website and help them out. They're a nonprofit just saving the good people in this world. Brian, thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Jackie?
Well, seizing an oil tanker in the Caribbean might be the start of the Trump administration's pressure campaign on Venezuela, but it's the latest development since launching Operation Southern Spear, which is aimed at curbing the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin is in Washington with more on these developments. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Jackie. Well, I just came from an on-the-record briefing with the ranking member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Senator Mark Warner spoke with the George Washington University's Defense Writers Group, and I asked him point blank if the U.S. is going to war with Venezuela. Senator Warner is a member of the Gang of Eight, and he said, I don't know. That is alarming given the amount of air power, troops, and warships in the Caribbean right now. The USS Gerald R. Ford is moving south into the Caribbean basin, further into the basin. EA-18 Growlers, electronic warfare jets in Puerto Rico to jam enemy radar and take out surface-to-air missile sites. Air Force HH-60 search and rescue helicopters deployed to the Caribbean from Japan, and 12 Navy warships.
Is the campaign against Venezuela still just about drugs, or is it now also about oil?
It has to do with a lot of things. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
He seems to be sleepwalking into a war with Venezuela.
Seizing an oil tanker is one thing, but what follows could be far bigger. President Trump says the U.S. will keep the oil from the tanker. It's not the first time the U.S. has seized sanctioned oil tankers. It did so with 4 tankers in 2020, Iranian oil that had been sanctioned. The Treasury Department has now targeted Maduro insiders and sanctions evaders, including sanctions on 3 of Maduro's nephews and 6 shipping companies. The seized vessel is now in forfeiture, headed to a U.S. port. support. Russian President Vladimir Putin, meanwhile, is reaffirming support for Venezuela's Maduro. Today, more details have emerged in the Wall Street Journal exclusive about the dramatic and nearly failed evacuation of the leading Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, who has been in hiding in Venezuela and is seen here on the balcony of her hotel in Oslo, where she received the Nobel Peace Prize. She was nearly lost at sea for 3 hours after a series of mishaps by the contractor sent to help her escape Venezuela, including a fishing boat that at first broke down, a GPS that went overboard. The Venezuelan operation appears designed to remove Maduro from power, but it's not clear whether all of the U.S. government entities responsible for oversight know the overall plan and whether Congress has been fully briefed. There are bound to be questions about how Machado was evacuated and why all of the details ended up in the press. Jackie?
And it was quite a compelling story at that. All right, Jennifer, thank you very much.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.